Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ascension Diaries YouTube channel. My name is Alexis. That was just Apollo, and I'd like to wish you a very merry December 23rd, 2019. We're on the final stretch of 2019. We're about to jump into the 2020 portal, and we are right in the brink of the most magical space astrological energy area of the month as well. So I'm going to get into all of that. I hope you are all doing very well and things are going fine and well with your family. And let's get into the space weather. So first things first is I didn't reset this since I've loaded it earlier this morning, but there has been a Schumann resonance blast. As you can see, that's extended past the bottom of the chart, which is usually when I do report. And I also reported on my blog on the Instagram and Facebook page this previous blast, and I didn't refresh this page so you could still see that this happened. So this happened this was over 24 hours ago. So this was late night on the 21st. It was actually, I think, the 7 to 11 a.m. Pacific time. And then we had a little more activity within the 24 hours, but again, I'm reporting on this white line that extended down from the bottom, from 0 to 40 hertz and beyond. So 0 to 40 hertz frequencies were active and reactive to an energy influx at this time. So I wanted to show you briefly, this is a website some of you may want to try out. It's called disclosurenews.it. And it has the Schumann resonance front and center on the home page, as well as QAnon updates and other news that is related to that sort of thing. They also have some Pleiadian stuff going on. Very interesting website. And it also has universal time hooked up to its Schumann resonance chart. I don't know how they did this, but so the most recent blast that I'm talking about happened around 3 a.m. Pacific time, December 23rd, which is around 11 universal time. For those of you who know that better, I thought I'd add that in there. So let's look at this blast, and we can look a little bit at the old one that I didn't do a video on. And the old one reached an amplitude of 37, and I'm talking about the amplitude of just this white line, which is the fundamental frequency of the Schumann resonance, which hovers around 7.83 hertz average. And then we have the scale of resonances of the Schumann resonance also present on this chart, and they also seem to have a very similar activity. The waveforms on the amplitude anyways, this chart looks very similar on both of the pulses that happened, the one that happened a few days ago and the one that happened this morning. You can see that they look very, very, very similar, even this little blip in front. So the activity is very similar, which means to me that the frequencies from 0 to 40 plus potentially had the same amount of energy behind them. Very similar experience for all of the wavelengths, which makes it feel like more of a substantial event to me. This happens all the time. I'm not saying this is rare, but I'm trying to explain myself. For those of you who've watched me do how many videos, I'm just getting more and more in detail as we go. The actual frequencies during that time, they didn't seem to do anything out of the ordinary. This is the 7.83 on average hertz line. It's measuring the actual hertz. So it's hovering around 7.83. You can see 8.5 right here, 7.85. But yeah, the actual Schumann resonance frequency doesn't change that much. You can see here, it's very small range of shifting that happens. It's the amplitude behind the energy that gets powered up. And the last thing I wanted to show you, which is the Q factor of this blast, which is the quality of the blast and the ringing of the vibration. So it looked like that after this blast occurred, the quality of the energy there seemed to be more pure than usual. It had a higher number, a higher quality on the y-axis here. But again, there was weird behavior of the different frequencies. It's kind of neat to watch what the different measurements show, hints and clues about where this energy is coming from, where it's more powerful, where it's weaker, what it's doing. So here in the later frequencies, so this is around the 14 hertz line, this is the 21 hertz line, this is the 24 hertz. These are average numbers. But the quality and what they've done is very interesting. So right before the blast, the 14 hertz line actually had a higher quality of a ringing than the other frequencies, and then they all kind of seem to change behavior and mimic the actual blast and amplitude like we saw here. So again, this is a new chart for me. I'm just learning it, so I'm just sharing my observations with you, and let's move on. So the heartmath.org website actually is down. It's temporarily down, so I'm not able to share with you that data today, but that's okay because we at least had some. Let's look at the actual spaceweathernews.com, which monitors solar weather for primarily. There are some bright spots you can see here on the sun that are facing Earth. They're saying the bright spots on the bottom corner here, when I move my cursor, those potentially are going to be forming some sun spots, which we barely had any this year. Barely at all. We had a couple bright spots like this, but the actual hole that forms beneath them in the magnetics and the plasma of the sun, that never really sustained. So we'll see if that'll sustain through Christmas. That might be the Christmas sunspot for all we know. And otherwise, the solar weather seems to be pretty calm. It did this interesting spike during the blast, not this day's blast, but the previous day's blast. Weird little spike. And the polarity on the sun actually flipped just a few hours ago in a weird way, but the solar wind didn't seem to shift or anything like that. So very bizarre, but very quiet in the same way. The geomagnetic field is very quiet. When the lines get right down to the bottom, when it gets to zero, that means that more cosmic radiation is actually able to permeate our atmosphere and our magnetics and the protective layer, which is actually reportedly getting weaker and weaker. So more and more cosmic rays are getting in, which is, I believe, a part of human evolution and evolution in general, is that the cosmic rays are able to come in and change the DNA. And so let's move on to the next biggest piece of news that has happened in the 24 hours that has come with this energy in a way. A few days ago, on I believe the 21st or the 22nd, President Donald Trump signed a big bill that was talking about, it was for military spending and so on, and it included making the Space Force a real thing, a real arm of the military. So not only are all of the programs like the Navy and the Air Force specifically has their own kind of space thing already, but it's now responsibility's been moved into its own arm of the military, which means a lot of different arrangements of power and energy in the whole military complex, and it's being hosted in the same area as the Air Force space thing in Florida, in Patrick Air Force Base, but it's a part of the Pentagon. It's real. It's happening. There's going to be people who are enlisting probably right now to join this first ever Space Force in the United States of America, which is a pretty big deal. It's a historic moment. It's something I've been waiting for a couple years, hearing about it, and I was thinking this was going to be brilliant because in a way it does reset the power structure about what secret space stuff is going on, and all of the space stuff in general that is actually going on, that's going to be released to the public. And I have a feeling it's happening because it's getting more serious, it's getting harder to hide, and it's part of the cosmic evolution of people. We're becoming more aware of space, and it seems like those who already have hung out in space and live there also want to become more open about their experiences, and also even galactic, ambassadorship is an option. That's what Jace tweeted the other day. He wanted to be a galactic ambassador for Earth. So that's an option potentially. I don't know if that's what the military does, but it's going to be fun. For everyone, all of these kids who grew up wanting to be space people, all I need next is the rocket programs to stop, and the actual technology that we want, which is gravitational in nature, is going to be released to the people. And they're releasing Navy, witness accounts of craft that are behaving like they are using gravitational energy and manipulation. And so that technology is hopefully going to come out soon, and nobody else needs to get strapped into a rocket and shot out there. It's just crazy to me that people actually get into a rocket. So I'm glad that hopefully that's going to be ending shortly. And what was I also connecting? So not only is Space Force a thing, but another big synchronicity that was happening for me personally and a lot of people around me and I care about was dragons. And so dragons has a very vast variety of information. I just did a Wikipedia search of dragons. Dragons show up in a ton of different cultures and they're all fairly depicted similarly, the images and whatnot. So dragons are important, and for some reason I was like, I wanted to tell you about the dragons because it seems like dragons want to come up, whatever it is and whatever it means to you. Dragons to me can also mean more of an etheric sort of protector of the land and of sacred sites, and that's what I think about when I think of dragons. And so, anyways, I thought, what does dragons have to do with Space Force? I figured I'd just look it up. And it seems like I was able to, like, articles in the last few days have used the words dragon and Space Force in the same article. And so I thought I'd bring that to your attention. I don't know why, but I just thought it was very interesting. And so I'm going to just find the part that talks about dragons here because I think I might have lost it in the process of all of the nonsense. Well, what I will tell you is that the Chinese seem to have launched a satellite with an arm on it. Here we go. It's called the roaming dragon. So the Chinese, they have dragons in their culture. That's probably something you already know. And the space agency launched its own satellite into low orbit with a intelligent arm on it to pluck and send back space trash to Earth safely. And so this article is pointing out that yes, something that's going in low Earth orbit that has the ability to pluck things out of their orbit and shoot them right back down to Earth as trash is probably capable of doing damage to private and public satellites and other equipment that's up there, maybe crafts, I don't know. And so, again, this article and people are trying to say that now that we're in space and we're fighting in space, we've gotten more dangerous. But I can assure you that the space thing, like this thing that was shot up in 2016, this dragon, this roaming dragon, 2016 is already capable of removing things from orbit and putting them down. The fight is already low-key happening, and I think it's been happening a long time. And so to bring it to the public awareness, I feel like is our next step in evolution, because we're responsible for this fighting on a fundamental level. We need to know about it so we can remedy it and no longer project this into our hologram, this fighting. And I know that might be a little out there, but consciousness is really all of the projects and science things that have ever been observed have been changed through conscious observation. So taking it all the way to that place, I believe we are responsible for what is going on, and for us to actually be aware of it, to bring it out of the subconscious and the shadows to the conscious mind is a big part of what we're going through. And that's what 2020 is going to be a lot about too. So let's talk about not only what 2020 is bringing, but what we're about to go through and what we are going through on this planet energetically right now. The first thing was, just a couple days ago, was the solstice. Winter or summer, doesn't matter, but the solstice means that it's going to be either the longest day or the longest night of the year, depending on your hemisphere. So, in Stonehenge, for the winter solstice, there were 5,000 people who gathered at Stonehenge and celebrated the solstice. I went to a solstice party. Everyone I really talked to that day was happy solstice, and it's supposed to be a very magical, it's very ancient, it's a very earthly day, and it's important to the energies of what's flowing and what's going, the weather, everything it all changes at the solstice. The amount of light that comes in every single day is fundamentally changed until the next solstice. So it's very important. So we had the 21st was the solstice. All of these people gathered at this monument, which is built on an energetic hotspot and is harnessing Earth's electromagnetic rays and frequencies. And it's important. A lot of us are gathering at these types of things and doing ceremonies, and that's only going to continue, I think, in the coming years. So another thing that's going to be happening very soon is that there's going to be an eclipse coming. And this eclipse is going to be on Christmas Day, on the 25th of December, 25th, 26th. And funny enough, Forbes is talking about how this is the most dangerous solar eclipse of the year. And they say that because if you look directly at it, you have a higher propensity to damage your eyes, which is fine. And you should be careful looking up at the sun and the moon and the eclipses. That's a very common thing. But to call it dangerous, I feel like, is just ridiculous. It's sensationalizing it in the wrong way. Eclipses are very intense moments in the light and the night, the darkness and the light of the planet. It's very sacred, and I believe this particular eclipse is going to be going over the Saudi Arabia, which we do have a monitor for on the heartmath.org site to look at the Schumann resonance. So I guess we'll see what the Schumann resonance did in Saudi Arabia during the eclipse. That's pretty cool. So I'm excited to look at that data when it occurs. I'm already excited about data in the future. And then, yes, it's going to be having a transition over that part of the world as well is very interesting to me, and I'm excited. I'm excited for what that might roll into existence in the politics of the world and the ancient history of that area of the world too. There's a lot of injustice and inequality and control that's exercised over Saudi Arabia especially. And so to help release the control, release the tight grip over people's consciousness there is always, in my opinion, the direction we want to go. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. There might be news stories about Saudi Arabia, and it doesn't have anything to do with the eclipse during that time. It might be very worldwide shift. But for you personally, an eclipse always means that you have an opportunity to jump a timeline, basically. You have an opportunity to birth into a new age of your life. So it's recommended that you write down what it is that you want, what is your heart's truest desire, and put it down, write it down. You can do whatever ritual you'd like with this paper to make it more significant to you, but really what matters is your intention and your focus. And one of the easiest ways to get you to focus for a little bit is to write down what it is you want. It also will help you reevaluate things and really get serious about what you are writing and thinking. Because if you come in with muddy intentions, you're going to continue having a muddy experience, and we're trying to bring clarity. So what else is happening during this time? So we just had the solstice, this is the eclipse, and that same day or around the same time, we're going to be having a new moon, which again is another time where you're supposed to write things down, where you're supposed to make intentions, where you're about to start a new beginning until the moon is full again. So really important portal, in my opinion. I feel like a lot of people and gurus and so on are going to be talking about this. If you haven't already heard about it, I'm grateful to be the one to tell you. I'd also like to tell you about some more details astrologically, what this might mean for you and what sort of themes are going to be coming in. So I'm going to read this really quick. It says the new moon on the 26th is a solar eclipse in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is very much about the establishment. It's very much about structure and discipline in a lot of ways. And Capricorn is usually like Wall Street kind of person in a way. And so public life, career, reputation, achievement, and accountability are themes, and they're also subject to new beginnings. So on multiple levels, all these kind of structures of control and career and achievement and public life, those things are going to shift, and it's going to happen on a worldwide basis, and it may even have a significant place in Saudi Arabia and the other areas that the eclipse is going to roll over. So that's cool. We're going to watch out for that. And it says that the eclipse awakens our ambitions, sense of time / limits, and need for order. It offers us the opportunity to set practical, attainable goals, work on developing maturity and common sense, consider and prepare for the future, work on self-discipline, and recognize our responsibilities. So we're getting our shit together in a lot of ways, and it's good. A lot of us feel like we have a job on this planet, and we're trying to continue to do it and reach another level. So in a way, this could be a nice jump for you becoming more of a public or responsible person in your community. And it's okay because the stars are in alignment for it. It is time. And you may be called to give up something in order to move forward into a new chapter. it occurs near the time of a Sun-Jupiter conjunction as well, so that's another big thing. You should be seeing Jupiter in the sky. It's on the SOHO satellite where you see the bright spot. That's actually Jupiter, and this is fueling us with optimism. Jupiter is your luck planet, is the planet that gives you a whole bunch. So when your Jupiter is in a good place, you're receiving a lot of good stuff in your life. So this is another great sign for 2020. And so the last thing it mentions is Saturn and Pluto are heading towards an alignment, and we may sense that we need to break something down before rebuilding it stronger and better. This new moon sets the ball rolling for a brilliantly productive period ahead. So I don't know who needed to hear that, but I'm always happy to hear that. It's good to know what we're sort of facing in a way of themes in the stars and the planets, because they really do have an impact on our lives. As much as some people may like to deny it, I don't see how it couldn't be that way, as it's an electromagnetic body in space, in our environment, that is actually impacting us. I think it's worth a thought or two. But that's why I do this show. So I think that's really everything I have for you today. I really was hoping to wear my newest hoodie that I ordered for myself, but I couldn't wait anymore. I was too excited to do this video, and so I guess that's gonna have to wait for the next one. Best of luck, all of the bliss and grace and happiness and joy and new beginnings and intention and strength and butterfly metamorphic moments for all of you to welcome in this new year of the 2020. It's already looking to be like something we've never seen before, just like all the years in the past, but truly this one's going to be a humdinger in my opinion. So if I don't see you before the new year, happy new year. If I do, that means that something awesome has happened and I couldn't resist myself, and I'm also probably going to wear my new hoodie, so that's exciting. And so either way, I'm happy, and I look forward to seeing you then. And until next time, be good and do good, and I love you very much. Goodbye, everyone.